Hello and welcome to The Stack. Today we feature two titles that we love. The first is Italy Segreta, a publication about all things Italy, and The Fence, a smart magazine made in London's Soho. Enjoy the show. From Midori House in London, this is The Stack, 30 minutes of print industry analysis, and I am Fernando Augusto Pacheco. We start the show talking with Marina Serena Cacciapuoti, co-founder and creative director of Italy Segreta. Joining her in the studio was her twin brother, Cesare Achille Cacciapuoti, co-founder and CEO as well. It's a joyful publication with a strong digital presence and also a delightful and fun annual print edition. They just published their third print edition. It's titled A Tavola. It is a celebration of Italian food in all its forms. It was a pleasure to hear from Marina and Cesare about their future plans and a preview of the new issue.
I started alone, and then we realized that there was really something there. And there was nobody else I would want to do this with. We have different skills and we work really well together. So we started this, again, seeing that there was something there and that we could create something. And it's been about 5 years and we're a team now of 10 and it's growing. We're understanding what direction to take, how media is working in general. And we're trying to be omni-channel. We're hopefully going to have a podcast soon and also be more on video. But for now, for us, print was a big achievement, getting to create a print and also being able to then seeing that it worked and do number 2 and number 3. Every year we try to improve it a little bit, whether it's the paper, whether it's the cover, trying to get better photography, better copy. So it's an adventure.
And since you're talking about growth, also, we always thought that it was important to grow and we want to grow, but it was also important to take it slow and always be in a position where we could control our mission and the kind of impact we want to have on Italian culture. And we were always afraid that in this phase of big hype, we got interest, from investors, from people that were saying you should go faster, you should hire more, get debt. But we decided to keep it, fully owned, no debt. And the reason was we didn't want to have the pressure to start doing things differently in order to support the growth.
Because that's one interesting thing, right, Cesare, the relationship you have with brands. I think I've heard you talking, Marina, that, it's not just like any ads. I think if a brand comes and approach Italy Segreta, you want to do something special and you guys ask, what's your connection with Italy? I would like to know more because that's a talent. That's very, very special. And I think brands would appreciate that as well.
I think brands, first and foremost, are when they come to us, they already know they're coming to a different kind of, media. It's not your typical, fashion magazine, and they see how we curate storytelling and everything we do, visuals. So I think when they come to us, more than advertising their product, they want to associate to the stories we talk about. And they want to associate themselves to a story that is beyond the product that they're actually selling, but is linked to their history or their culture, which is great for us because it allows us to tell some great stories, but with the support of a brand.
Yeah, the most important part for us is that the brand somehow supports our mission in talking about Italian culture. So, as long as there is a good match that allows us to do that, it works.
And Marina, one of the things I have to say that's my favorite thing about especially the printed issue, there's a sense of joy in the magazine. And for example, I adore the piece, What Pasta Shape is Your Sign? That's the kind of stories I would like to read. I absolutely adore it. By the way, I'm a farfalle because I'm a Gemini.
I was going to say, what's your sign?
Farfalle, and I do like farfalle.
It's a great one.
What are you, by the way?
I'm Pisces.
Stelline.
So I'm Stelline.
Yeah. My partner is Pisces. What about you?
No, same. We're twins.
You're twins, gosh, yes. That's fantastic.
Very comforting. I opened that page yesterday and I was looking again at which sign we were. And because we've been thinking this horoscope is taking off. A lot of people really find it fun and interesting. So we thought maybe in the future we'll do a little booklet with a kind of a collection of the horoscopes.
I would buy that immediately.
We got to do it. We always try to find fun ways because, as you know, long form on digital works, but it's more niche. Also because a lot of people read on mobile. So we're trying to find ways in which we can give information, but in a more fun, shorter way. And for example, the horoscope, we know generally that a horoscope is something that people love. But how do we thought, how do we do the horoscope, but also allow people to learn something about our culture? And so, I don't know if we do it every year on print, but we do it also digitally continuously, and we link it to different themes. And it's been
ice cream, I think, was it last year? Ice cream or
yeah, it was gelato confezionato.
Yeah.
And we have fun in the office. Our senior editor writes it, and let's say there's some fights sometimes of who takes what, but it's been fun and it's good. It's a great piece.
And I love that both of you are playing around with Italy because, of course, Italy, a country in Europe, everybody loves it. But I genuinely feel that Italy is such an international country. Everybody has an opinion of Italy. It doesn't matter if you're from China, Brazil, Lebanon, if you're from the US. There is an appeal to Italy as well. So I think a magazine like this works for people that are not born in Italy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
not many countries can say that, I would say.
Yeah, I think we're...
One of our taglines, our main tagline is how Italy feels. And we really feel connected to that saying because for us, it's something that everybody understands is how being in Italy makes you feel. And everybody feels in a different way, but it makes you feel something. And we always thought that it was important to write in English initially and with a also native speaking team because it is hard to translate emotions. So it is important to write in the language to kind of bring those emotions to the words. And so everybody has a connection with Italy, no matter where they come from.
I don't know which other country can say this, but I have never heard, this is so Italian of me, but I have never heard anyone come to Italy and say they didn't like it or they want to come back. Like, it's just too good to be true. Because we have a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So you might not like maybe one city, but you're going to like another one because it's so different. So we really have variety.
Try compare Naples with Milano.
No, you can't.
Yes. And for ourselves, it has been a process of discovering Italy again because we keep discovering different parts of Italy. And every time a lot of people think, okay, you're Italian. You founded Italy Segreta. You must know everything about Italy. And the answer is no, there's too much to know. It's like, and it's a never-ending discovery.
I get this question a lot, like, but don't you think you're going to run out of topics? I'm like, this is exactly why we're doing this magazine, because there are so many topics. I mean, it's endless, and it's just so many people don't know. We don't even know all the stories there are to tell.
And another incredible part is how such diversity also allows for an incredible number of novelty. So if you start from the same starting point, there can be people doing new things starting from one point. But if you have many starting points, the creativity is endless. And one thing we really care about is making sure that the new generation of Italians is allowed to bring forward the culture, be creative.
Be seen.
And be seen. Because if Italy is so special today, it's because in the past we've always been a very creative country. And recently, in the last decades, maybe we've seen a bit of a slowdown. That's why we still talk about the Dolce Vita, which was 50 years ago. But that's why it's important right now to really allow the Italian culture to evolve again, for the younger generation to be seen and to be allowed to create their own Italy.
And the new issue, Tavola, of course, table, it does talk a lot about food, which that's what we also associate with Italy. But I love that there's some provocations there.
Oh, yeah.
Pane Toscano, like,
Bravo.
You know what I mean? It's important as well.
That's the thing. And I mean, we Italians sometimes have to be broken down a little bit because our egos are really big. And because everybody loves us and everybody talks about us, we're very proud. I think we're some of the proudest people out there. But there are certain things that are based on tradition that it's okay to say that they could change. And so we talk about that, and we're not also as Italians I've lived abroad. Cesare has traveled a lot, and, we absorb a lot from other countries, and we come back home, and there are certain things that we would be okay to see change. And I think it's important to talk about that. And we do it in this print. Some Italians might not love us for it, but I think a lot of them actually maybe can change a bit their mind on some things.
And that there's a big difference between celebrating Italian culture, Italian diversity, and being very conservative and close-minded about it. In order to really pull the best out of it, you need to sometimes challenge your beliefs and understand that things can change, and also some beliefs we have might not be right.
And it's nice to have an internal team. Like, we have a good half of Italian and international people. Same with our contributors, because I think they allow this kind of open-minded storytelling to happen so that it doesn't feel just very Italian and sometimes not in a good way.
And Cesare, there's one print issue a year, right? And I know next year there will be a book. I don't know how much you guys can talk about it. But there's also a lot of content digitally. I think every week I see different things coming up on the website. So is that part of the business plan? Of course, print is important, but you also have this all the projects around.
Yeah. So in general, I think today in our market, the challenge is being everywhere and being sure that you're able to use content in all of its formats. You know, if you have a great article, it's a shame if not everybody gets to read it. So it's great that we made from the beginning the choice that our social media would always, every post would promote an article, because the objective is to create this connection and this profoundness to our substance. Social media, to give substance. So we do come out with issues every month. In general, now we come out with about 3 articles a week. And lately, our focus has actually been decreasing a little bit the amount of content and making sure that the content that comes out is of the highest quality, and also we have enough to develop it through different formats. So digital, written, social media, and hopefully in the future also video and audio.
Podcast, yeah.
And Marina, correct me if I'm wrong, but you both perhaps are based in Florence, right?
Yes.
And I love that because, of course, when you think of Italy, of course, Milano when it comes to as a media city, maybe Rome as well, but Florence. Is there a good place to be to make a magazine?
It's a good place to be. Punto.
Yes, I mean,
it's
stunning city, right?
Yeah, I feel like in today's world, we have technology, and for what we do, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be in Milan. I mean, also Milan is an hour and a half train from us. Venice is 2 hours away. Rome is an hour and a half, and it's so easy to travel through Italy. So everything feels very close. But I also like that we're in a smaller city. It still retains something that maybe bigger cities like Milan have lost. And it's also less trendy, you know, and we like that. And in quality of life, it's pretty unbeatable. I mean, we go around on a bike, like from our office, you'll have to come visit. We have this terrace and you literally see all of Florence, but it's one of those cities where you see the city and then you see like right around them all the hills. So you're surrounded by green. You have a great city where there's a lot going on. You're close to other cities. We have an amazing airport. Everybody in Florence disagrees with me, but I love it because it's super easy to get to and it will take you anywhere you have to be, like London. And, you know, it's also good sometimes to not be in a city where there's so many other things going on, possibly in terms even of competitors or similar to yours, because it allows you to think more freely instead of doing comparisons.
Yeah. And also, maybe it has something to do not just with the city, but with something that goes beyond the city. Florence, for us, was the place that made it the easiest for the family to regroup, to have our family and our closest community together. And that's such an important part of the Italian culture. And I feel sometimes we're losing it. Families are spreading. People live more alone.
Yes, Cesare brought our whole family back in Florence.
Yeah, and so Florence mainly because we love Florence, of course, but it became also Italy Segreta's headquarters because it's the place where we decided to be grounded. And when you travel a lot, it's important to have a place you feel home.
And one thing, I'm going to bring this up because walking here with my husband and Anna, we were talking about what is so special about Florence, this big cities don't have. And they both brought this up. And it's so true that because it's small, it's very easy to be spontaneous. It's very easy to go from one side of another, meet a friend. There's, you know, yes, restaurants get booked, but it's not like a London that it's so crazy and hectic. And to get somewhere, you take so long.
And
so you have to plan ahead. So spontaneity is such a big part of Florence. And I think it's also a big part of Italian lifestyle and culture. So, I mean, we get to live that daily. So it's great.
I know, of course, I've been to Italy a few times, that every kind of city has their specific food. What about Florence? What is the the food kind of that I should try when I'm there?
Bistecca, patate, fagioli, spinaci. So no, we have a very, I mean, it's based on the cucina povera. It's very much based on produce. We have obviously meat.
Meat and beans are the base.
Mi piace, I'm Brazilian. I like meat and beans.
Yeah, skip seafood. It's not a seafood city, but when it comes to meat, I mean, that's the must. When you come, we'll take you in the good places.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're also very creative with our bread. Maybe it's because...
It's not pane toscano, no?
No, it's pane toscano,
Okay.
of course. But probably because eaten alone, it's not that great. We have done a lot of great things. Panzanella, which is a salad made with old bread and cucumbers, tomatoes. It's very fresh and it's for the summer. And then we have ribollita, which is
hearty soup.
Yeah, it's a hearty soup with kale, beans, and old bread. And then we have the famous pappa al pomodoro, which is a soup made with bread and tomatoes.
Yeah, we use simple ingredients, but we do a good job with them.
Thank you, Marina and Cesare. And the third issue of Italy Segreta is out now. You can get yourself a copy on italysegreta.com. And now let's talk The Fans, the witty title made in Archer Street in London's Soho. They're about to release their 25th print edition. It was a pleasure talking with Kieran Morris, managing editor of The Fans, about the title's growth, the release of their book with Avery called The Pub, their cool newsletters, and how some fans' articles will soon be adapted for audio, film, and TV. Let's hear it from Kieran.
I was here last for issue 18, which was our coming-of-age issue in many ways. That was the first time we had John Banville writing for us, Jeff Dyer, Sophie Elmhurst, some writers we've really wanted in our stable for a while. We're, coming up to 8 issues after that? And those writers are part of us now. They've written 2, 3, 4 times. They come to our parties, they email us, they give us guidance and all of these things. And I think the growth of our writing stable and the quality of writing we've been able to publicise, having this mix of young writers, new voices, alongside the writers who are well established, who have been in the print game for 20, 30, 40 years, having a new lease of life, having something to write about where there are less strictures and more freedom and those stories that, no one else would take a chance on, but we'll give you the run at the ball. I've loved seeing that these last few years. The quality of writing has never been higher.
And in terms of content, The Fans is quite interesting. Of course, very funny, witty, satirical, but then you also have some serious pieces in the middle as well. So it's quite an interesting mix of stories, right?
We try and keep that balance. We want every page to feel unexpected, every issue to have stories you've never read before and stories you wouldn't have seen in our back catalogue either. When we tackle a topic, we want to do it once and move on and keep the reader guessing every issue. What are the next 16 features going to be? Nothing like the last one, nothing like the next one. That's where we like to be.
One thing I like about The Fans is it does have quite a strong British DNA in the best way possible, I have to add here, because I feel a lot of even the national newspapers, sometimes, we live in one of the biggest cities in the world, so important, but sometimes I feel like London is almost forgotten in those little stories in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's something where, I'm not from London. My colleagues,
where are you from?
Liverpool originally. The accent's very sadly all gone. Comes back after spending a few days with mum and dad. But we're from all parts of the world and we've come together in London and we make our magazine in London and we show appreciation for that. We like spotlighting even just the things on our road. A few issues back, we did a 4-page feature just on all the crimes that had happened on Archer Street, where our office was. We illustrated it beautifully, everything from shootings in the 1960s to all the kind of mad stuff just on our street, with fondness, with a love for the grit and the glamour of Soho and of London.
You should have done the same with my street, Greek streets as well, No, I love the iconic piece as well, where every place where you can have a croissant and a coffee in Soho, that was amazing.
Oh God, yeah, the Soho map of Cokes, and then the Soho map of Vogues that followed that, which I think all the prices of cigarettes have changed since then, but I think it's still handy.
Issue 24 is out now, and I believe in 2 weeks' time, there will be a new issue. What can you tell us about it? Give us a preview. Give us some breaking news here.
Oh, well, I think this is going to be going out before it's officially launched.
Yes.
So Let's give it a little breakdown. So, top of the list, we have a fantastic piece from Gary Grimes, who went to I think the only quote-unquote university in the country for gay-for-pay porn stars. He spent, I think, a week with them just hanging around, wrote a fantastic 3,000-word piece just about the guy who runs it, his life, his backstory, and the crew that he's formed. That's our lead. And our cover story, our cover design, is a kind of take on Harmony Korine's Kids, that poster of kind of guys hanging out, sort of going down the street, and we've kind of done a take on that for the front cover. Alongside that, we have a strange mix in the issue of, there is a fantastic piece from a guy who went on, I think it's the first train. It's 200 years old. It's a replica, and it's a travelogue of just following that. We have a guy who just went and reviewed Manchester, having never been. The very back pages, we have an opera written in dedication to Colonel Gaddafi, going up and down his life. And the usual strange mix of stories we found exhilarating to read, ideas brought to us we are, just beckoning in, wanting to platform. And this next issue, it's looking really fantastic. We've got very high hopes for it.
Do you feel that your reader likes to have the magazine in print? Because I know we're going to talk about your digital presence, which is super fun. But I think the reader of the fans, they want to actually buy the magazine. It's a lovely format as well to have.
That's what we're all about. I mean, at the very back of issue 24 is Print is for Lovers, which is, it kind of sums up where we are with our love of print, our love of the industry and of the form. And the thing I've always loved about the magazine, I think the thing I said when I was interviewing for my first job a few years ago, was that I love that the design is so beautiful and so particular, but the form is still malleable. You can keep it in your bag and it gets bashed up. You can roll it up and put it in your pocket. It unfolds and still looks beautiful. And I think it picks up even more charm for looking that little bit battered. A pristine copy is great, but I love seeing a really well-thumbed one.
I agree. And of course, now moving along, I want to talk about your newsletters, which I think is great. And I was mentioning London. There's one that actually, it is all about London. But what's the importance of newsletters for you guys?
For us, there is no greater driver of audience. There is no greater way to engage with our readership and to develop that continual relationship. And we've done that with Off the Fence now to enormous success for the last few years. I mean, I think the last time we spoke, we had about 6,000 subscribers to the newsletter. That's now over, I think it's about 35,000 now. And it's the expansion of that alone in getting what we do out is unparalleled for us. But this year, we've launched a second newsletter focused around the things to do in London. It's called The Capital Letter. It is recommendations from the furthest reaches all the way to the centre, great churches to go to, great restaurants you may not have heard before, guides to neighbourhoods that you typically wouldn't go around, but when you do, you find so much amazing things there. My favourite of all of that has been writing up Shooters Hill and Bexley and that corner of southeast London where there is so much interesting stuff around, things that are connected to London's history, Dick Whittington and highwaymen and all of these incredible strange castles and buildings and historic pubs and things that you wouldn't typically go and do on your Saturday. Once you do them, you're like, oh my God, this was 175 on the bus and I've just had the best time. And
it's so cool to have a newsletter. I think London kind of needs a little bit of that. Do you remember when we had Time Out and everything? I feel there is a space, and I think you guys are getting that space as well.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about your first book as well, about pubs.
Our second book.
Our
second book, but our first.
What was the first?
It was called Shit Literary Siblings. It was just 100 silly characters. It was much more of like a gift book. We like it. We have copies in the office, but this was a real collective effort of not just us, but our writing stable. So this was a chance to bring, like Clive Martin, Charlotte Ivers, Katie Hessel, Tom Parker Bowles, John Banville, once again, into book form, into how can a book embody the magazine's identity, its continual sort of mode of surprise and having chapters that move from one thing to the other, but around what is probably unified our favourite thing, the pub. And we love the pubs of Soho, we love the pubs of London, but in particular, we all have our favourite pubs from home. We all like going to the sticks and going to somewhere in the villages and going somewhere where it feels like, oh my God, we're being welcomed into a little community here. It was just spotlighting them. And we spotlight them up and down, north, south, east and west, Scottish pubs, Irish pubs, mediocre pubs, bad pubs, all of these things. And it's a real love letter to the public house.
Yeah, so and just to clarify to our listeners as well, it's not just a list of the best pubs. It's very much a fun, interesting, in-depth stories of random pubs around the country as well.
Exactly. So my chapter it's all about a urinal, the most famous urinal in Liverpool, possibly the most famous pub urinal in the world, which are said to be in the Philharmonic pub, where they are purportedly made out of marble. And you go in and they're so ornate and pristine, and there's even a sign for women to pop their heads into the men's toilets just so they can see this famous marble urinal. It's the thing that everyone talks about this pub. And I won't spoil what I discovered in researching this particular urinal, but it became a story about Liverpool's love of stories and of pub stories and pub legends and urban legends. And it was also a bit of a piece to my dad, because I took him out on Father's Day for this reporting trip, basically, that I could take him around for. And it's the first time that I'd written about him, which was really nice. So he's included in the book as well.
I look forward to read that. Sorry, a typical question, but what's your favorite pub? I mean, do you have a local that you go all the time? And
I'm going to give it away, as much as it pains me to do it. But you know what? They deserve it. It is my local. It's the Dacre Arms in Blackheath. It is just perfect. It is sort of shag carpeted and oak panelled, and Jim, the landlord, if he's listening, he's the best. And the garden is gorgeous. It is most importantly 90 seconds from my front door. And it's just a little slice of paradise. I'd visited the pub long before we'd even looked at the area to move into, and I just adored it. And then the second I realised that we were going to be moving somewhere so close, done deal.
I need to go and pay a visit. And if I may mention as well, one that I think you like it as well is Coach and Horses in Greek Street. I adore it. And you know what? I think it's one of the few pubs these days in Soho where you can actually go with your glass outside and there'll be no security guard telling you, you can't go after this line or something like that, you know?
Exactly. It's still free and easy.
Freedom. We need freedom.
And we were saying before we got speaking that it was the old private eye pub.
Yeah,
and that's the thing I love about it, is just imagining Richard Ingram's in there and, you know, all the staff assembled and just empty glasses around the table planning out the issue. We don't do the same. We have an office for that. But, you know, after work, there's a little bit of wrap-up work that we do there. So, yeah, the spirit
Sometimes
lives
at a Coach and Horses?
Sometimes.
Fantastic. Kieran, I have one more question that I'm very curious. So is it true that now you're writers for the fans, now you made an agreement with CAA that some of those stories can be adapted to audio, to TV, to film? Tell us more.
That's what we've been working on in the last year. CAA, on the one side, have become our representatives for books. But on the other, we have this really unique relationship with them now where every issue, the agents inside CAA are able to go through the features and analyse what could be good for TV, what could be good for film, what could be good for audio, and giving our writers a kind of pipeline through to further adaptations. That's informed our commissioning in the last year. It's informed the way our writers are dealing with us, and they're thinking in a much more narrative sense and bringing us bigger, more exciting stories. And it's starting to work. There are a few things in the pipeline. I don't know how much I can say. I don't think I can name them, but I think there are 3 or 4 that are down the way now, are moving towards some kind of adaptation. And the first green shoots of that are going to appear very, very soon, and we're very excited for that. So it's just another thing that we're completely proud of.
Issue 25 of The Fans will be out early in October. You can find out more about that on the-fans.com. That's it for this week's show. My thanks to our editor, Jack Jewers. If you have any comments or queries, feel free to write to me, Fernando, at fb@monocle.com. And remember, we're back next Saturday at 10 a.m. London time. Meanwhile, you can always listen again at monocle.com or subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You've been listening to The Stack. I'm Fernando Augusto Pacheco. It's goodbye from me.